Hey, Gabriel.
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
Where are we today?
We are back in I'm in San Francisco.
And
Where
I'm
are
back
you?
in Chicago. I'm just enjoying the seasons that I always crave so much in the 10 years that I live in San Francisco.
But our podcast has been kind of quiet because you've been where?
Oh yeah, I've also been in Spain for a while. So during that time, we wanted to respect like the time difference and the sanctity of the holidays, and we didn't record.
Right. So, apologies to our 10 listeners.
Yeah, I know that this has been hard for you guys, but we're back. We never forgot you.
So when is the last time we actually recorded? It's been almost a month, right?
A month or a bit more, I think, because we couldn't record like for the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you remember. So I think that we used to have like a bit of a headroom, and this is probably like the first time that we truly ran out of episodes since we started.
But we'll remedy that. We're back in business.
All right.
We even watched a Paul Verhoeven film.
Don't spoil that. No one is ready for that yet.
All right.
So what did we actually watch this time?
So this was your pick, and in the last podcast we had a disagreement, I think, about Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And so you wanted us to watch Ed Wood because it's one of your favorite films or one of your favorite Tim Burton films.
So I think that is like out of Tim Burton is the one that I think that is the best, or I used to think that, but it was like going out of his crazy style, not going it goes a bit into the quirkiness and whatever, but it doesn't have that kind of gothic horror style that he likes so much. So I almost felt like just thinking about like David Lynch and the Elephant Man, about like, yeah, I can do a mostly normal movie.
And I think that like the subject of Tim Burton came up because we watched Bottle Rocket, and we said like Wes Anderson had an original style, but at some point he became a parody of himself.
Yeah.
So you wanted to show me one of Tim Burton's earlier films because I'm sorry, I'm looking at his IMDb page. He's been pretty weird for a long time.
So it has been what?
He's been pretty weird for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Not weird, over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. If you look at his whole career, I think that after he did the first Alice in Wonderland movie is like when things just went downhill.
Before we talk about Ed Wood, did you see Big Eyes? Because wasn't that nominated for some awards?
I think that it was with Amy Adams and Christopher Waltz, I think. I wanted to watch it because I really like those two actors, but no, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here to talk about Ed Wood.
Yes, we are. And you already told to our audience why I pick it. So now is your turn of actually summarizing it.
So Ed Wood was actually a real person, right?
He was, yeah.
I didn't know this until after I watched the film. I had no idea, none.
So you didn't know about like Plan 9 from Outer Space?
Nothing. I knew nothing about Ed Wood.
Wow, I'm mind blown right now. It's like for me, he was always like a cult director that I only watched like brief snippets of his movies and say that this is fucking terrible.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. I'm happy that he existed, and apparently Johnny Depp's performance is incredible because he watched a lot of video of him, but it follows a wannabe director. I mean, no, he did end up directing things, and somehow he managed to convince all of his friends to keep being in his very, very shitty films.
And also like convincing investors for keep giving him money
Yes.
for doing.
Yeah, somehow he kept finding funding. He would, I don't know, bamboozle people. And then I found out that like in the 80s, the 70s, after he had died, he was voted the worst director of all time.
Yeah.
And that caused him to get this like cult following. So that award actually introduced an entire new generation to his filmmaking. I personally have never seen any of his films, but I don't know what else to say about the film's plot besides it's just him making bad movies and finding people to pay to make his bad movies.
So one thing that I have forgotten completely, and this is a bit of a key part of the story, is that is his transvestitism.
Yes.
Do you think
Transvestitism? Something like that.
that he likes to dress as a woman?
Yes. But
No,
he's not gay.
He's not gay. He doesn't want to be a woman. He's not transgender. He's just a transvestite. He
Just wanted to find a woman that would accept him dressing up like a woman.
yeah. I like the scene with Patricia Arquette.
Yes.
When,
She was fantastic in this film.
oh yeah, she was like really really good. I thought that she was a bit more like a undersold actress. You know, that she was always like considered about like you're a bit of a bimbo, but I think that she was good. She was like a really good actress. She was not the Jessica Chastain of the 80s and 90s. I want to leave this on the table.
What's wrong with you and your hatred of Jessica Chastain?
Jessica, if you're listening to us, I think that you're a great woman. Nothing personal. But I love that scene when he comes out. I think that they are like in the carnival.
The spook house?
The spook house, yeah. And he says, and she's like, okay.
Which I think was very nice. It was actually kind of touching.
Yeah,
because
it was pretty sweet.
For anyone listening who hasn't seen the movie, Sarah Jessica Parker plays his original partner.
Yeah.
And at some point, she can't deal with him anymore. She wants a normal life. She can't have a boyfriend that not only dresses in women's clothing, but then he made a movie about it and embarrassed her. I was very, very happy when he met his next girlfriend.
Yeah, but do you think overall that Ed Wood, the character of Ed Wood, is a good person?
I never even thought to apply like the term good or bad to him. I would argue that he definitely like bamboozled his investors, which is a shitty thing to do. But I think he was a pretty good boyfriend. He was good to his partners. I don't know. What do you think?
So when I watched it the first time, I thought that it was a bit more objective. On this one, I don't know, I didn't feel like he was painted in a great light, you know, because he bamboozled, he actually took like the career of everyone. I mean, half of them, they would have never have any kind of career in movies, and he gave them one. And Bela Lugosi would have died like way before of an overdose.
But how do you feel like that like falls into like being a good person or not?
Because at the same time, I think that is in a selfish kind of way. It's because of his desire of making movies, and he actually uses everyone around him for just getting to the goal.
So I'm not saying I disagree with you, but kind of towards the end of the movie, he happens to run into Orson Welles, whom he idolizes, and Orson tells him basically like never stop fighting for your vision. Like you should tell the stories you want to tell. He said like the studios completely wanted to change his films. So I just kind of felt like he was admirable in making the films that he wanted to. Yes, maybe it's selfish, but I don't know. I didn't see him as a bad person.
I mean, I didn't see him like fully as a bad person, but he's a person that, you know, like this being a biopic about him, is like I felt like, okay, you're giving me a very gray area character. The first time that I watched this movie, well, and the several times that I watched it like back in the day, is like I love it, and I feel it's this is like exactly as you said, it's like a bit more of trying to sing towards creativity and just pushing through people that they don't understand your vision.
So do you think Tim Burton had an opinion about who Ed Wood was?
I mean, I think that if he actually wanted to direct about Ed Wood, is because in some kind of way, and probably there are interviews where he confirms something like that, is like he saw himself in Ed Wood in some kind of way, because he also has like a very artistic voice. In the case of Ed Wood, is like his artistic voice was mediocre at best, you know. In Tim Burton's case, he has an artistic voice that it was like really good at the beginning, or at least different.
That's actually really interesting because I never thought about Tim Burton seeing himself in Ed Wood, but now I can totally see it. Like, he's somebody who wanted to make movies that weren't particularly mainstream, that they were weird.
Yeah, he wanted to do his thing, what he actually felt appealing to him. And Tim Burton, like David Lynch, are directors that they wanted to do what appealed to them. And if the audience likes it, great. If they don't, that's it. And that's why I don't like Tim Burton anymore, because I felt like he started doing what he thinks that the audience wants.
So this actually makes me like the film more, and dislike Tim Burton more. Because, yeah, when Disney hired him to do Alice in Wonderland, I feel like this is a classic case of selling out.
Yeah.
And I think that our conversation about Tim Burton the last time I recorded, I was saying he was overrated and that he didn't really have that much style. But after seeing this, yeah, that guy has fucking no style. He just sold out, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is I feel like this is an authentic movie with a spirit. But now when I think about like Tim Burton, about Ed Wood as the character, I feel like this is a person that I wouldn't want him to be involved with my life, because he shows like that kind of sweetness with his girlfriends, you know, and that kind of naivety about like when he's dressing as a woman. And when he's talking and bamboozling all the investors, it's like it's clear that he has a passion. But at the same time, I don't take so much the message of it's like, hey, Hollywood doesn't understand you. It's like, no, it's like what you do is garbage. Is that they could give you like a blank check and you will still do garbage. That wouldn't change. It's like, why keep trying and why keep dragging people down with you?
I mean, at the end of the day, he stole money from a church and got all of his friends to be baptized. By the way, that was one of the funniest scenes, watching Bill Murray like try to get baptized. I laughed so hard at that scene, and I thought, I don't like slapstick comedy, but that was fucking hilarious.
No, Bill Murray was hilarious in this movie. It's like he was not in too many scenes, but in all of them was like, you're a weird guy in this movie, like a really weird guy. And I also really like, you know what movie this reminded me of? And I thought that it's like, this is pretty well done compared with the other. It reminded me of Mank.
Why do you say that? Because of the black and white thing?
Black and white, about like the story of how a movie was done, but not focusing so much in the movie, but more about on the characters that they created it. And also because of the style, the cinematography style is pretty like Hollywood classic.
I can see that. I didn't draw those comparisons before you said this, but yeah, I can totally see it.
Yeah, and it's like pretty clear that both David Fincher, I mean, in the case of David Fincher, also with his father, and in the case of Tim Burton, is that they had like a adoration or respect for the person that they were doing the biopic about.
So which one would you say is better?
This, Edward.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a good movie. My only complaint, and I was looking for complaints a lot, is I don't think this movie needed to be 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was a little excessive. Like, watching him make every film, I was like, okay, I understand. This is funny. This is probably true history.
Yeah.
But it was just a little too long for me, but that is my only complaint about the film.
And it was long, but at the same time, it was palatable, let's say.
Yeah, in terms of entertainment, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, so it didn't really feel like more than 2 hours. It's that when I watched it, and it was like weeks ago, I feel like, I don't feel bored about it. It has like a good rhythm, and it's not about like, hey, it's 2 hours of making a single movie, as you said. It's like, it's many things. It's about like seeing the progression. I mean, like what was the opening scene in the movie? I don't remember it right now. Was he in the studios, in the Universal Studios or something?
I honestly can't remember, which is ridiculous because I rewatched the movie today.
Yeah, no, I watched it like weeks ago. But in any case, it's like, there is always something going on. You know, there is like a progression on the story, you know, on the characters and everything. So it doesn't feel stagnant at any point. If it was like 2 hours for making a single movie, no. Here there is like a progression on him like achieving something, quote unquote. But at the same time, it's true, it's more than 2 hours, but for me it's fine. It's like it's not 2 hours that I regret spending on this.
So did you know that Martin Landau won an Oscar for his portrayal
of Bela Lugosi?
I was super happy when I heard that because this is a very alternative film.
Yeah.
Very outside of like the mainstream. So I was super thrilled to hear the Academy like recognized his performance was fantastic, incredibly fantastic. In fact, I feel like Johnny Depp should have won something. He
was not even nominated. No?
Let's see. I'm looking at the awards. No, I don't think he was nominated.
No.
Which is a pity, because he basically was performing as this guy and was very realistic.
Yeah, well, I had to say that it's like pretty uncanny. This was like the same year of Forrest Gump, that I don't know why Hollywood like really like so much. Also, Bullets Over Broadway, that is a movie from Woody Allen that I like a lot. I don't know exactly why. And Pulp Fiction.
That's a rough year. That's a rough year to compete with. Not because Forrest Gump is good, but because Hollywood loves Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
But Pulp Fiction should have won everything.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Pulp Fiction is one of the best things. And actually, Uma Thurman was nominated, but she didn't win because she was Diane Waste from Bullets Over Broadway.
Diane Waste won over Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
And this is why we can't trust the Academy. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more pissed that Robert Zemeckis won over Quentin Tarantino. Holy shit. And also won over Krzysztof Kieslowski.
Have I told you about the essay when I rented the Decalogue? There's Criterion Collection essays, and some like film academic wrote this disgusting essay about how this year is the year film died because the Decalogue should have won all the awards and Pulp Fiction did. I was like, fuck you.
No, Pulp Fiction didn't. Forrest Gump did. That is way worse, regardless of how classic you are on your taste of cinema. God. Best film editing, Forrest Gump over Pulp Fiction. Okay. Best makeup, at least that was Ed Wood. Oh my god, it was the year of the Shawshank Redemption too.
It's just a tough year to compete with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not the biggest fan of Shawshank Redemption, but whatever.
Would you believe I've never seen it?
I'm never going to be like picking it up for the podcast, I'm telling you now.
Have you seen Glenn or Glenda, which is one of Ed Wood's films that he directed in the 60s?
No, I didn't. It was like the first one that he did, no? Like the I Changed My Sex or whatever.
Yeah, it was about somebody who was changing their gender.
Yeah, no. I never was like anything from him from the beginning to the end. It was like snippets of Plan 9 from outer space. And I don't know, I mean, it makes me think of The Disaster Artist. But remembering that this movie exists, it makes me like The Disaster Artist a tiny bit less. I still think that is a good movie. To be honest, I love like James Franco interpretation of that. And then when we watched The Room, I was like just mind blown about like how good The Disaster Artist interpretation was.
Yeah, I can see that. And I can also see why this film, which I think is incredible, you've completely changed my mind about Tim Burton. But it does take away a little bit from The Disaster Artist. It wasn't such a good... I mean, it was a good film. I think. It didn't pay the proper respect, I think, like Ed Wood did.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a bit more like just reusing the same formula. And there is nothing wrong with that, per se. You know, it's not about like just doing it about the same story. It's not about like just retelling it good.
By the way, did you recognize any of the writers of this film?
I actually didn't pay attention to who were the writers. I'm pretty terrible for that. You're like way better. Rudolph Gray, Scott Alexander sounds like pretty familiar.
wrote the People versus Larry Flint.
Yep.
Which is a good film.
Yeah.
And, he wrote The Big Eyes too. And he wrote Goosebumps.
American Crime Story. What was this?
The only reason I asked about that is because I didn't recognize any of their names.
He's the one that wrote The People versus O.J. Simpson.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I still say that part, so that season is like, for me, is like the best that Ryan Murphy has ever done.
Did he actually direct The People versus O.J. Simpson?
He created it. He attached his name to it. So let's just leave it like that.
All right, that's fair. You know how I feel about Ryan Murphy.
We don't have to go through that. It's that we go through that like every 2 weeks. It's like we were talking earlier about like every single day we think about COVID, and every single week we refresh our hate for Ryan Murphy. Yeah.
No, it's true, and it's sad.
What is sad? COVID? Ryan Murphy?
Ryan Murphy, because it's my pick, right? So I'm going to pick Hollywood.
Well, I already watched it. if you want like 90 minutes of me just spewing vitriol through my mouth, is that, yeah, Hollywood is a good pick.
No, that's a joke.
Thank God. Should we go over the questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. Would you watch it again?
Honestly, I don't think so. I'm really glad that I watched the film. I don't regret it at all, but
yeah.
This isn't a movie I'm going to want to return to.
That's interesting. I will watch it again. Honestly, and not today, but it's a movie that I wouldn't mind watching again with someone, for the first time. I think that there is enough details, enough jokes that I would enjoy it.
So allow me to change my answer, because I think in 5 years I would absolutely be willing to watch this again. I just don't care to watch it now.
Yeah, I mean, there are like very few movies that I watch. I mean, there was even like today, or yesterday at the Genesis School, they were playing the Women's on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, and I thought about going again, and it's like, I watched it last year. I don't want to watch it again. And it was a year, and it's a movie that I do like. And I was even thinking that now after we watch The Human Boys, it would be interesting to go to the campy version of it.
Yeah, I think it all has to do with timing, because I think like after 15-20 years, if I remember that I like a film, I would watch it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit more about like we're human beings, so we like to consume things that they feel fresh. If our mind still remembers all the details, it's not going to be such an enjoyable experience. So there are very few movies that I would rewatch like right away. So I don't think that this question is about like would you rewatch it tomorrow. It's a bit more like would you rewatch it in the future, or you are like, nope, I'm going to be like leaving like a post-it on my brain about like don't open this door never again.
Never again.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
Yes. Without hesitation. It's a good film. It's a really good film.
Yeah, and I think that this, as I always say, is like I recommend this like to my parents with no problems. Even if it's about someone that likes to dress up as a woman, it's like it's an enjoyable movie. Would you remember it?
Interesting how offensive wearing women's clothing was in 1994, because I was like, I see this every day in San Francisco. Like, this shouldn't be as offensive. I mean, I get it. Like, the people he ends up working with are religious zealots, but it's like, come on, he's wearing a different type of sweater. That's it.
Well, it was an Angola.
It was an Angola, which has a very sensual sort of nature to it that most people don't have.
Yeah. That was the part that when looking at it, when watching it now, it felt a bit of a, okay, this is strange. I don't know if this has aged properly or not, but you have to look at it in the context of that time. And it's not like Hollywood. It's not like Hollywood on that context that made sense.
I was a little concerned that it was going to be transphobic, because in the beginning, when the guy who's hiring him to direct Glenn or Glenda I don't know, the way he's talking, I was like, no, I'm not going to be able to watch this, but it actually turned out to be okay. Everything was fine.
Yeah, no, that's true. Would you remember it?
Yes. I think this is a very, very memorable film. I think the style is incredible and fantastic, and I will always remember that this is kind of where Tim Burton started, and remember that this was his original style.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not his first movie. It's like the third, probably.
It's before he became like a Hollywood Alice in Wonderland type. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he actually leaving the swords behind. He did Pee-wee's Big Adventure, then some TV series that Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, and Batman Returns before doing this. So he did like quite a bit of big hitters before getting here.
I forgot that he did Batman Returns. That makes me like this film a little bit less.
You don't like Batman Returns?
No, I think it's a terrible film.
What? You don't like the Penguin? You don't like Catwoman?
Batman Returns with Alicia Silverstone?
No, that's Batman Forever. Or Batman and Robin. Those are from Schumacher.
I can't remember what this film is.
Yeah, no, this is the same gothic horror kind of thing like Batman. But the bad guys are the Penguin and Catwoman, if I recall correctly. That it was Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, Danny DeVito.
And
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm gonna have to rewatch that. I haven't seen it since probably the early 90s.
I actually went to the cinema to watch both of them, and I was 9 years old when Batman came out.
As long as it wasn't Alicia Silverstone and George Clooney with nipples on his batsuit, that's the one I reject.
I don't know if I saw you like that webcomic of the kid that he goes to watch Batman and Robin, like this one, and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited!" And he started with a smile, the movie, then he started like, "This is weird," and then he leaves the cinema and says like, "Okay, definitely, I'm not straight."
I do remember watching that film as a young gay man and being particularly like
aroused. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to watch this forever.
Yeah, I mean the bulge that they had on the costume is like,
it's obscene. It's obscene.
Look, we're only missing like a narration, like a hot narration here for this being Carell.
I'm just glad that I don't remember the Tim Burton film. Now I have plans for tonight, so.
No, just watch it. It's a good adventure movie. You know, it's from the 90s, of course, but I remember like aesthetically was like pretty good. It was like the time that you had to do everything like big sets, and Tim Burton was good doing those. It was like way better than now that he can do everything with CGI and get away with it.
But was it as good as the Christopher Nolan films?
It was not so cerebral.
Oh, so it doesn't last 3 hours when it doesn't need that third act?
No, it's not like that.
Right.
And I told you that this is an adventures movie, an action movie. It's not like Christopher Nolan movie that is I'm better than you movie.
As a bonus for our next recording, I'll watch it and just comment on it. We don't have to discuss the whole film. I'll just be like, oh, I watched it. I hated it or I didn't like it.
Do you want to do like some kind of bonus episode about like Blake talks? Not just here like saying like, I don't remember anything about this movie, but yeah.
And I'll just like talk.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he actually had done like multiple things. It's not like the first thing that he did. I think that it may be like one of the first one that he did with Johnny Depp, though, because he did the Edward Scissorhands, and then he did this, and then he just kept doing more stuff. Did you like Mars Attacks?
I loved that film. I haven't seen it since I was a teenager, but I really, really, really liked it.
Yeah, I really like it too. And Sleepy Hollow too. Planet of the Apes, nope. Big Fish, I like it.
Did you see Beetlejuice?
Yeah, like several times. Yeah, I don't think that aged too well because it relies on special effects. That some of them they are done with stop motion, if I recall correctly, and it's cute kid, creepy kid movie.
And what about you? We've talked about this before. You like Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, I do.
I need to rewatch that.
I don't like Sweeney Todd, though. No, because I think that it was also like 3 hours or something. No, 2 hours and a half.
I did see that movie in theaters, so I saw it in 2007.
Oh, okay. That's good. So moving on with the rest of the question, is there anything artistic about it?
Yeah, 100%. He has a fantastic style.
Yeah, it's like, as we were saying earlier, it's clear that he was inspired by the classic Hollywood of this is like the style of the time where Ed Wood was doing this, and he does it like flawlessly. I think that it's like this could have been like a movie done at that time.
Yeah,
But he actually infuses like, you know, like his quirkiness to it in a very smart way. That is like that this works. This is like a one-off kind of thing.
I actually had to keep telling myself that this is not a film from the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
Because it was filmed in 1994, but it felt so original to the time.
Yeah. So this actually connects with the next one. Is it a timeless piece?
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, albeit it actually is just focus on the 50s, you know, where the story took place. Is like I think that the narration is pretty good. Is like it, as we actually were saying, that is like it doesn't try to modernize it in any kind of way. It just tries to be for this was done in the 50s. And besides that, the story itself is good. There is like someone that no one believes in him. He can get away and make his dream come true. Now, if his dream deserves to become true or not, that's a different question.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Would you turn this into TV show?
No, I think this was perfect as a film. I honestly felt like it was a little long for me, so I don't think I would want to watch several episodes, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. But no, I wouldn't turn this into a television show.
Gotcha. So last question, do you think that this movie could... Well, sorry, I didn't say. I wouldn't turn it also into TV show. I think that this is like the only thing that you could do is like a movie per each one of the episodes, like how each one of the movies were done. But I think that there is not enough body. I think that then you run into the problem of just having like too much runtime.
I think you would have to really, really be into Ed Wood films to actually watch that. Otherwise, like, I was like, we're watching too many films get made.
Yeah. The thing is that the film what he's famous for is like Plan 9 from Outer Space. So the whole series would feel like a build-up for something that we know that it was terrible. It's like, why do we need to know all the shitty things that happened until he got there? Instead of just like, hey, he was terrible from the beginning and everything was driving for just doing this terrible masterpiece.
Can I ask you though, do you think this was a portrait of two friends? Or do you think it was about Ed Wood and doing what he does?
I think that there were both things. You know, it was a bit more about like just center on Ed Wood and his life, because we see like plenty of scenes that they are not about Bella, that they're about like his girlfriends. What about like him trying to direct movies or just frustrated with different things? And Bella is a secondary actor. You know, it's a bit more about like one of the things that define Ed Wood as a director is that I used to work with him. So I don't think that is like the centerpiece. I think that is like just part of the biopic, part of the core of the essence of who Ed Wood was.
I was very interested in my experience when I rewatched it today, because I thought, wow, this is a portrait of a friendship, and he kept Bella, I can't remember his last name, he kept Bella's career alive. But then the film continued so long after Bella died that I was like, oh, okay, so that's not the sole purpose of this.
No, it's about him. And that's it. It's about like Ed Wood and about like what made him who he was. So, do you think that this movie could have been better?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, me neither. I think that is a movie like a one-off kind of thing. I don't think that it's perfect, but I think that there is nothing like wrong with it as it was done.
Yeah, when you asked me that question, I was like, I can't point to a single thing I would improve. Of course, most films can be better, but I can't call out like the script was bad or the acting was bad or the plot was too slow.
Yeah, I mean, I had the feeling that if you were to change something, exactly what you said, it's a bit more like with this principle, this director, these actors, is like, this is fine, this more than fine, don't change anything, please. It's like, and no one is going to complain about it. But should we score the movie?
We should. I haven't even thought about a score, so you go first.
I won't, because it's my pick, so you score first.
Your pick.
Yeah.
I would say an 8.5.
Okay, that's the same score for me.
No, I'm really impressed. When you told me you wanted us to watch a Tim Burton film, I was like, oh god.
Well, but it's what I was going to say earlier. It's like, this is not like the first time that I mentioned Ed Wood. Ed Wood used to be my, hey, you haven't watched Ed Wood? I'm mind blown. You should watch it. It's a really good movie, because when people think about Tim Burton, they think about like Edward Scissorhands, they think about Batman, they think about Sleepy Hollow, and Ed Wood is not exactly what it comes to mind. And it's like, for me, it's like the movie that it can tell anyone that is like, this is a good director.
But did you like Edward Scissorhands?
Not that much, because, well, I mean, didn't you? Because isn't it about like suburban families like being weird,
existentially miserable?
Yeah.
No, I really liked Edward Scissorhands. That's why I asked, because I wanted to understand how you felt about his other films in his like golden years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Edward Scissorhands, you have to think that it's pretty based on the American suburban reality. And for me, being European, everything felt like a movie. It felt like completely made up, you know? Not a movie, yeah, of course it's a movie, but a bit more like the setting felt like a movie. Like, just, you completely create this. It's like, people don't live like this. So I think that maybe we should watch it, because like, for me, like, part of the nuance of the reality that he's portraying is just got lost on me.
And when is the last time you watched it? Because it would be interesting to watch it after you've lived in America for 10 years.
Yeah, maybe I just watched it like 25 years ago, honestly, like long time ago.
Well, let's add it to the to be watched.
Okay. Yeah, that could be interesting. But even like for some time before it was like more cinema, Ed Wood was my favorite film. Ed Wood was my Magnolia.
You're a dick.
Okay, that I will take it.
Magnolia is a good movie. P.T. Anderson is a good director. I will never back down from that.
God, did I tell you that on my flight back from Spain, I was trying to watch like some stuff? What movie? I watched something. I watched Don't Look Up, and I think that I told you about it with Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, I think that I told you. Yeah.
I will never back down that P.T. Anderson is a good director.
Well, then I tried to watch Inherent Vice.
I didn't like that movie. That's true.
And I after 10 minutes, I said, this is not for me. This is like it's almost like just trying to make a Big Lebowski that is not funny.
You can turn off Inherent Vice, you can never turn off Magnolia. That's all I'm saying.
It's 3 hours, dude. It's 3 freaking
all
hours.
All of his films are 3 hours. Just deal with it.
It's what he needs, you know. And I still have to watch The Master. And you didn't like The Master either.
I would be very curious to hear what you think, The Master. That's it. I'm not telling you should watch it. I'm just saying it's an interesting film. I don't think it's great, but I would love to hear what you thought. That's it.
Did you like There Will Be Blood?
I fucking love that film, but I think it's just because Johnny Greenwood wrote the score.
Dude, it's also 3 hours. I don't know. Did you like?
Lewis, Paul Dano, music by Johnny Greenwood. I got carried away with just everything that film was.
Except the movie itself.
No, I won't say that the film was good. There were just a lot of elements that I loved.
Okay. So it was a movie that the sum was not as important as the parts.
Let me tell you that There Will Be Blood is one of the first films like I felt like I was obligated to like, and so I tried to like it.
What about Phantom Thread?
I never finished it.
I like it. And I think that I told you that I was like surprised about I'm liking a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. What is wrong with me?
I just never finished the film. I watched like the first half.
Wow, a surprise. Alright. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I'm going to be like bringing it up because I think that I was talking with a friend of mine and I was telling him that is like, I think that I need to watch The Master, but if there is no like a real obligation, I don't think that I want to watch a Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Also remember that I used to be Mormon, so the whole like Philip Seymour Hoffman was basically Joseph Smith in that. Joseph Smith and the guy who did Scientology, what was his name?
Oh yeah, no, I don't know.
So
Yeah,
I
agree.
related to it in a lot of like weird, awkward religious ways.
Okay, no, I would finish watching it. I started like several times. I only was like 10 minutes, and then I'm out. And I'm tempted to go watch Licorice Pizza, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I like Boogie Nights.
That's the one thing we have in common. Boogie Nights was good.
It has Julianne Moore in there, but whatever.
And Dirk Diggler and his huge dick.
That's what matters. So anything else that we should say about it, Wood?
I think that's it. I'm super impressed. I liked it way more than I thought I would. It's not that I thought I would hate it, but I wasn't convinced of Tim Burton's style. So thank you for introducing me to that.
Yeah, no worries. Now the other thing, what are we going to be watching next?
Next, we're gonna watch the Paul Verhoeven film Benedetta,
The new classic.
about lesbian nuns in the 17th century.
Okay. Let's just leave it like that. All right. So if we don't have anything else to say about the masterpiece from Tim Burton, I think that should be all.
That's it.
Okay.
Wash your hands, get your booster.
Get your booster going. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Bye.